This season is called Home, and there are 2 reasons for that. Spiritually, God has welcomed me back home, a story that will unfold throughout this channel. But this series is also about a physical journey. After spending 11 years living alone, to living with my husband for a year, then moving back in with my mum at 36, there's been a lot of change. Now I'm home. Get comfortable as we unpack. Previously on Home.
December 16th, 2023, we found the dream house. Being first time buyers, we were already ready. I knew from a long time ago that I was never going to use any of these government schemes. The estate agent gets in contact with me and is saying, yeah, your offer's rejected. I think the asking price was worth the property. I just didn't want to pay the asking price.
Make sure you're caught up on the previous episode and let's dive into today's episode.
Once again, return of the watch my flow. You know that I'll be back. Here I am. Return of the man.
Proverbs 29:18. When people do not accept divine guidance, they run wild. But whoever obeys the law is joyful.
Hello my beauties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary. I'm a natural hair and lifestyle content creator.
And my name is Eric. I am the personal assistant.
Okay. He's been upgraded.
You complained last time. So I have to apply for a new role.
For those of you who are new, this is
Eric,
my husband. Okay. Anyway, let's get into this video. So the last episode, we let you know that unfortunately we were rejected for the dream house. How did you say you felt about that?
When they rejected the offer, I was like, yeah, we'll just leave it to God. Maybe it's not meant for us.
So Eric's dream house that he saw in the dream, he then thought, okay, maybe it's not meant for us.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the actual house was coming. So I was optimistic. So I know my dream. So I still look forward to that dream to come to pass.
So even though you saw the dream house, maybe it wasn't the dream house.
But I was quite sure it was the dream house.
In the video, Eric said that he believes that the estate agent was bluffing. At some point, I thought he was bluffing too. But clearly, we were rejected for the dream house, so he probably wasn't bluffing. Do you think someone made a higher offer or you think he was still bluffing?
I think he was just bluffing. I've been into sales before, so they just want to put you in a tight position or on a high jump. I would say that. So maybe if you can go higher, because the higher you go, the more commission they get. So I think he was just bluffing.
But 2 weeks passed and it's not that he came back to us to say.
The thing is, they know that too many times we have, tried to push.
Yeah.
We added money several times, so that alone shows him that we really are interested in the property. Okay. So he doesn't have anything to lose.
Like Eric said, he's been in sales before, so he's got a different hat on. But with my ordinary hat, I've not been in sales. I am distraught about the house. This guy was not bluffing. Eric was asking me, what's going on? You haven't been sending me houses. I explained to him that I was no longer interested in looking for houses. And he said he was going to take it on.
Yeah, and you said no.
Yeah.
You're going to have a break.
To be fair, when he said he was going to take it on, he actually did send me 2 houses that looked really nice. But I was just thinking, it's not the dream house. I don't understand what you're doing right now. As you just heard him say, he was certain, but, maybe we were supposed to get the confusion. So me too. I was like, I'm not listening to you right now. And that's not to say that what God showed him wasn't real or that I didn't believe him when he said he had a dream or anything like that. It's just that I needed a break. Point blank, period. I wanted to enjoy Christmas. I didn't want my hopes to be let down even further if we ended up finding another property and had to go through the same roller coaster. Christmas came, had a great time. Then the 26th of December, the estate agent sends me an email and I'm thinking, can I just catch a break? But anyway, he sends me an email, right? And he's sending me an alternative property. And I think what added insult to injury was the fact that he sent a property that was about 100k less than the dream house. And I was thinking, he just made it sting. He was just adding the salt to the wound. Like, okay, yeah, you couldn't afford the dream house, but here's one for you instead.
And the garden was horrible, man. So horrible.
I think, to be fair, for a first time property, I think it was alright, but like Eric said, the garden was too much. And then, I don't know whether he thought this was a selling point. He was saying that, oh yeah, it's a property right next door to me. Respectfully, I don't want to live next to you. Because I would just be feeling that, you know, I'll be reminded every time I see you coming out of your house, this is the neighbour that rejected us for our dream house. Come on. But I didn't even reply to the email. That's how salty I was at the time. The whole of December went by. There was no callback, nothing. What Eric was saying in regards to maybe there will be a miracle. There was no miracle in sight. 1st of January came, and 1st of January was a bank holiday, always is. And so I was still in chilling mode. But one thing I definitely felt was, actually this January, I'm not gonna start the house search again. I wasn't ready. How were you feeling?
I was just enjoying the viewings.
So you wanted to still go and enjoy more viewings?
I wanted to go enjoy more viewings, and yeah, I was having fun with it.
For me, January is about preparing for the year. Let me focus on God. The disappointment has left 2023. I just need to focus on making sure the start of 2024 is great, and looking at houses again is not going to aid me in ensuring that I have a great start. Do you know what I mean? So January 1st came around. I was not interested. January 2nd comes now. About midday, the estate agent calls my phone. He calls my phone and I'm thinking, if you're calling about this property, did you not get it that I told you I'm not interested by not responding to your email? Anyway, I answered the phone. He said Happy New Year. His first question was, are you still looking for properties? Guys, I've just told you, you know, I was saying this January I don't want to look. So for him to call me, I was thinking, what is it now, you know? But I told him yes, because I'm not going to lie. We are. It's just that I wasn't looking at that time. Yeah. Then he said, okay, do you have any lined up to view soon? Why is he asking these questions? Anyway, I said no. So I was thinking he was about to say he's got a few properties lined up that we should come down and view or whatever. But then he was like, okay, that's great. And I'm thinking, okay, I just wanted to let you know your offer's been accepted. I'm trying to... Okay. I was speechless. I was confused. I was thinking, is this a prank? What's going on? Talk about apprehension. Guys, honestly, I needed to have been recording myself in the moment when I received the news, because I'm sure I was just shocked. I don't even know whether I said, oh, that's great. I definitely didn't say how. I definitely didn't ask what happened. I didn't do none of that. But I was shocked. So he was talking. Guys, I'm sorry. It's been over a year now. And at the time I was shocked. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that I'm forgetting, but I'm sure he did ask whether we're still happy with the offer we'd given and if we wanted to proceed, at which point I most definitely would have said yes. I don't remember the rest of the conversation. All I know is that he asked for identification for Eric and I. He asked for Eric's date of birth, his mobile number and his email address. But yeah, immediately he got off the phone. I remember saying, like, my God, you know, when you're just, I was talking to God but just saying God, my God, that's all I kept saying. And then I messaged my sister as well and I was saying Abby, and again I said God. My sister's thinking, what's going on? I'll leave the screenshot of the text message here. And I didn't scream because Eric would have probably still been sleeping at that time. I'm sure he had work that day, but I was shocked. I was 100% shocked.
I remember you came to the room and you woke me up.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you were like, oh babe, they accepted the offer. I was like, what?
Okay, so that's what happened. Yeah, I don't remember, I don't remember. It's a distant memory now, but all I know is that I remember being shocked. I remember thanking God because I didn't know. Till this day, I don't know what happened. I don't know whether he was bluffing all along. To this day, I do not know. I have no idea.
They were basically looking for more money. That was it.
Is that really what you think it was?
Yeah, they were just looking for the highest bidder.
Okay.
And yeah, they couldn't find it, so
We were the highest bidder. What do you mean?
they were looking for more. I think the seller gave this the estate agent the specific price he wants. So the real estate agent is the one adding money to see if he can, get something out of the property and make more extra profit.
But the seller has the final say. So why is it that when we put our offer in, the seller said no?
How are you sure it was the seller that was communicating?
Because by law you have to.
You have to gamble. Life is all about gambling.
I know the estate agent was trying to get more money. They always are. But I feel like the seller too wanted more money and we just weren't reaching their target. Or maybe because there was a bidding war at the time, they felt that, okay, ours is the lowest and the other people can offer more, so we're just going to go with them. And then something happened and those other people pulled out, or whatever the case may be. Anyway, Sha, let's not reflect on that. What we need to focus on right now is the fact that our offer was accepted.
Yay!
God did his big one. The saying is delay is not denial. And the other saying is God has the final say. I don't even know if I want to talk about this one here. I think I have to. We're now getting the ball rolling. We have to get property searches done. We have to get this, we have to get that. I now remember one thing he said to me on the phone. Can you instruct your solicitors? And I was like, yeah, sure. I thought we had solicitors, okay? Because we've already been through this situation before. Go to episode 2 if you have no idea what we're talking about. I emailed the solicitors straight away. Didn't get any answer, which to me was out of the ordinary, because I remember when I spoke to him last, I said, even though we're not moving forward with this house, that I wanted him to be the one that would instruct when we do get a house, and he was happy with it. So when he never responded to the email and I didn't get an out of office, I called the office, didn't get any answer. Said, okay, strange. So I left it for that day. That same day, I contacted our mortgage advisor. Following day, the mortgage advisor thankfully got back to us, and he even delivered the good news that interest rates had dropped since the first time we had been trying to get a house. So everything seemed to be working in our favor. Unfortunately, I still had not heard from the solicitor, but I sent another email to him just to, get it to the top of his mailbox in case he missed it. And suddenly there was an out of office, and the out of office said he no longer works for that law firm. Woo! This is the beginning of a lot of, what's the word we should use? Delays, maybe? Or challenges. That is the word. So now I'm thinking, okay, shoot, so who am I going to go to next? I remember the whole rigmarole I even went through last time trying to find solicitors, and so that's why I was so adamant that we're just going to use them again. This time around, instead of me stressing, thinking about, okay, how am I going to go about this all over again, I just went straight back to the estate agent and I asked him, do you know any solicitors? And he forwarded me a portal that I can get quotes from and find for solicitors there, whatever. So that's what I ended up doing, and the first solicitors that responded basically is who it went with. But I would not recommend them, so I'm not even going to mention their name. Do not recommend. I think now's the best time to say, from the 2nd of January, when we knew that our offer was accepted, we did not complete until, do you remember the day that we completed?
That was in May,
1st of May 2024. a good, almost hitting the 4-month mark. We're literally a day off. We had a ride with this dream house, okay? We had a ride with it. So the next step for us was to have a meeting with the mortgage advisor, and he just got all the updates. Like I said, at this point, I had a new job, thank God. Because of this new job, our affordability had increased, but they wanted to see basically a letter from my job to confirm, you know, the new role and see my pay slips. And I should say this new job, and I didn't make it clear to the mortgage advisor because I was a bit concerned. At the time, it was a fixed term role, so it was only for 2 years. So I remember saying to the mortgage advisor, it's great that our affordability increased because obviously that's how we were able to put in a higher offer. But saying that, you know, my role was just for 2 years, and I wanted to ensure that if I went back to my previous salary, we could still afford to pay the mortgage. And he said, oh, he needs to double check because he had found us a mortgage lender at the time. Thankfully, that came back all fine. During this time, obviously, the lender was requesting several documents. Suddenly, again, they were saying, oh, Eric is not British, which was fine because we already knew. To be fair to them, the reason why they were asking again is because his visa was expiring soon. So they were thinking, okay, so what's going on? Has he applied? What's going on there? So that's where, you know, in episode 2, we'll talk about Eric had to provide so many different documentation because on his part, it wasn't straightforward. But we'll discuss that in another video probably. 11th of January now comes around and the estate agent is messaging me to ask if the mortgage advisor has put our application through. So I'm going back to the mortgage advisor to ask, and the mortgage advisor is letting me know that actually our application is now with an underwriter. But I was thinking, okay, what's this? What's happening here? So we never heard back from them until the 20th of January. So it's already been about 2 weeks. And the estate agent already is thinking, what's going on? Why is it taking so long? Remember,
He was pissed off.
that's not even the point where I was pissed off. Remember, I kept saying to him, we're first time buyers, we're ready to go, So, you know, they're thinking they're going to have some swift thing. Although, I think it does take, on average, 8 to 12 weeks. It can take from the time you put in an offer to completion. So, I don't know why he was so antsy. Is that the word? He was a bit stressy. But anyway, so by the 20th of January now, find out that the lender no longer want to lend to us on the basis of the deposit amount that we're going to put down. I'll let you know now that the deposit we're going to put down was already above 10%. So for them to be saying that they wanted more of a deposit, I was just thinking, where? How? I don't know whether this is because Eric's visa was expiring sooner rather than later, or whether they just thought we were too risky. But that was a high street lender and we ended up not going with them. But you can imagine that's 2 weeks basically that's been wasted. So now our mortgage advisor is having to look for a new mortgage lender for us. Thankfully, by the 24th of January, he already had a mortgage lender who was happy with everything. Happy with the fact that Eric was putting in his application to extend his visa. Happy with my job being fixed term for 2 years. Happy with our deposit. Happy with everything, right? And the good thing about that actually was that their interest rate was lower than the high street lender. So as you can see, God is working it out for our good. Let's be real. Because these things, yeah, for me, it's only God. Now is the time I need to let you guys know how were we putting down more than 10% of the deposit. So you remember in episode 5, I mentioned that I'd been telling the estate agent, yeah, my mom's gonna help us. This was before my final offer. So the money that I was talking about to him when I had given him the initial offer, which was below asking price, had basically, I won't say doubled, because it hadn't doubled, but it had increased. And I wasn't even sure whether my mum had that money. I wasn't even gonna ask her.
Okay, I would have asked her, but I knew that money was coming in. That's why I never asked.
What happened was 2 years prior to this whole thing even kicking off, I had approached my mum and my sister about an investment opportunity, and we had pulled some money together. My mum and I put in the most in because at that time my sister had a lot of commitments. She even just bought a house. But basically, all three of us had pulled money together to put into an investment opportunity that had arisen at that time. And that was on the basis that within 6 months, we were gonna get our initial deposit back, along with, I believe at the time, I'm not gonna say how much the interest rate was, but a really good interest rate amount as well. So that was supposed to be for 6 months. That's how 6 months turned into a year turned into 18 months. Remember guys, I had pulled this money with my family members. Even though we had signed a contract and this was literally a no-risk investment, it wasn't meeting the terms and conditions of the contract because I told them within 6 months they were going to get their deposit back along with their interest. So you can imagine, when the person told me, they needed a further 6 months initially, it was fine because they had increased the interest and put more interest on top. I'd gone back to my mum and my sister, they were happy with that. When it now turned into 18 months, there was no offer of more interest, but it just seemed like it kept delaying, and I was thinking, I knew we were going to get our money back, but I was just thinking, but when is it? And for me, it was money that I was happy to part with, which is why I parted with it in the first place. I wasn't in a rush to get it back, but I can't say the same for my mum and my sister. Fortunately, I was actually able to pay my sister back her initial deposit within the initial 6 months we were supposed to receive our money back. But there was still my mum's lump sum that I didn't have the money for. So in as much as, to be fair, my sister was happy to wait for her interest, I didn't know whether my mum needed her deposit back. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't want to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So when it was now turning to 18 months and the person was now saying, they can't give the investment back yet, I was thinking, oh my gosh, but that's a story for another day. I just mentioned that because the money for that investment is what I was able to use as a top up for the money that was already saved in my lifetime ISA. Now I see why there were so many delays. I feel like God had to do that because maybe if I had received the money back sooner, you never know. Like I said, I was enjoying life. So maybe I would have used the money for something else, but God specifically knew that the amount that I was going to get from that investment was what I was going to need to ensure that we could finalize the purchase of our dream house. Thankfully, I had evidence of that investment through contracts. I had emails confirming, the delay in receiving the money. That's what I used to present to the mortgage advisor and to the estate agent, that we had the deposit ready. It's just that I couldn't really guarantee when that money was actually going to hit my account because I didn't know. So far we have, in terms of challenges, we had a lender initially. That lender then said actually they're not willing to go ahead with us. The second challenge was the full deposit. The third challenge came with the solicitors. Hey, I suffered. Even now I'm getting headache. I'm actually getting headache because we've been sitting here for so long trying to remember what happened. So the solicitors, I don't know what was going on with them. First issue they brought up was the mortgage deed. So they hadn't explained to me properly that with the mortgage deed, they said that we need a witness to sign, and what they never said to me was that the witness needs to sign twice. Along the line, they were saying, we haven't got the mortgage deed yet. And I was saying, but I sent the mortgage deed almost 2 weeks ago. What do you mean you haven't got it? I don't really understand. The communication was so, honestly, it didn't make sense. They're like, we got that mortgage deed. I said, so what's the issue? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you said you didn't get the mortgage deed. After going back and forth with you about 4 or 5 times, you then say, no, we got that mortgage deed, but we needed a witness to sign twice. So, just simple English like that. They weren't communicating, so it was a bit frustrating. Not even a bit frustrating. It was really frustrating. The second issue now was the director wasn't ready to sign off on us exchanging contracts. Why did the director not want to sign off on exchanging contracts? They said, they wanted to make sure that I had the money before signing off. But it had already been stipulated to me that if we didn't have the money at the time of completion, that it would delay us completing and there would be some financial penalty towards it. Because the day that we exchanged contracts was also the day that we were definitely going to say that all the money that they needed was going to be in their account. So that meant that the money from the lifetime ISA was going to be drawn out into the solicitor's bank account.
Essentially, they were saying they didn't want to exchange because they wanted to make sure that the money they were getting from my lifetime ISA was for a house. Of course it's for a house. That's the whole reason why I'm here. I then had to explain this to the estate agent, who was just as confused as me, because the money is in their account. They're the ones that are going to use it for the house purchase. Make it make sense.
Just get this thing signed. What's the problem? Initially, the solicitor had informed us that they were happy to proceed with 10% of our offer for the house. So I had already sent them the 10%. Honestly, they just delayed to the point where the estate agent kept messaging me. And when I tell you I was stressed, because by this time it's April. Imagine 3 months just being hit with challenge after challenge. And these are things that are outside of my hands. I can't even control them. But the estate agent is contacting me every day, WhatsApping me. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was too stressful. At this period as well, Eric was sorting his visa stuff out. That has a cost to it as well. There was a lot of things that was happening at the same time. A lot of plates turning, and it's not that the plates were turning by themselves, it's that we needed to keep pushing people to move. So those were the kind of challenges I was facing. I was thinking, God, why would you bring us this far just to leave us? This is embarrassing, first of all, and it's annoying. Do you know what I mean? Because especially as we've been saying, we're first time buyers, we're ready to go, we're this, we're that. It just seemed like back to back challenges. It was so frustrating. But I know the reason why that kept happening is because with our deposit, we weren't going to get until a certain time. But obviously, I can't see that. God can see that. Do you know what I mean? Like, God can see, actually, you're not getting the money until this point. And so I'm going to have to delay this as much as I can, which is why there was so many delays along the way. It was all about how much faith do you actually have. Even though I still question God. And there were so many days I was going to him and asking, you know, God, please, I'm stressed. Let this take this off my hands. I'm annoyed. This is annoying me, you know. But he did his big one. So yeah, we managed to exchange contracts on the 29th of April, pulling a lot of teeth to get to that point, honestly. And from the 29th of April, we then completed on the 1st of May, which is Eric's birth month.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel? Were you happy?
Yeah, it was a double blessing for me. Finally, we were relieved. It was quite challenging, but we thank God for everything.
100%. In between this though, before we even got to the solicitor now giving me headache, I remember messaging the estate agent. And by this time, obviously we're far along in the process. Well, I would say we're far along. I didn't know that was still another month until we were actually going to complete. But I messaged the estate agent and I was saying to him, oh, can we have another visit of the house? I'm messaging him and asking, can we go see the house again? First of all, he said yes, but then he came back and he said, can I just ask if everything is all right? Because the seller is wondering why at this late stage you want to visit the house. With the first house we put an offer in, it was literally days after days of putting an offer in that I took my family there. And I thought I did that because I needed the reassurance, because I was really second guessing that house. But with this house, I really wanted us to get really far into the mortgage process before now inviting our family to come and see the house, because it's almost like, oh, we don't want another disappointment, you know, anything could happen, especially with the challenges that were happening along the way. That just blew the sales out of the water. They were thinking we wanted to pull out, they were confused, they didn't know why we had left it so long, blah blah blah. Even though I said encouraging words, you know, I was saying, no, it's just that we want to come and measure up the place, you know. They weren't buying it, they just thought they just thought that something's going on here. It was also that same month, March, that I was now asking for a survey to be done as well. The estate agent and the seller were so confused. We started this thing in January, then suddenly in March you're asking to see the house again, you're asking for a survey, what's going on? For me, it was more that I wanted to make sure we were getting this house, because there's no point in me paying for a survey.
Disclaimer, if you're buying a house, you do a survey as soon as you can. We were buying this house, regardless of what the survey said. This was the dream house. It is ours. So I wasn't worried about what the survey was going to come back with, but I still wanted a survey to be done so that we knew what we were going into if anything was wrong with the house.
There's no point in my family seeing it if we're not getting the house. So by that March time, I had done physically everything that I could to show that we were good for the house. I was feeling more confident and reassured that, okay, cool, now we can spend more money, we can get our family involved. There's no point in involving people, them getting their hopes up and then, you know, something falls through. Because during any stage of the mortgage process, that can happen. The seller could even say, you know, they don't want to sell the house anymore. So that was my thought process, but the estate agent and the seller thought something was happening when it really wasn't. So the 29th of March, that's when my family came down with Eric and I, and we viewed the house for the second time. Was there anything you felt differently when he came the second time?
It was still the same. Yeah, it was still the same.
You were still happy to proceed?
Yeah, I was excited.
Just know that a lot of things happened along the way. If you do have any questions, as always, leave it in the comments. But essentially, this is all to point back to God and the fact that what God says is what he will do. He doesn't send his word and lie about it. And whether his word comes by prophecy, dreams, vision, whether it's something that's said in the Bible, however it comes, as long as it's been accurately interpreted, it's going to come to pass. God is going to do what he said he will do. So for God to give Eric that dream at the point where he gave it, when we were already going through an offer on a previous house, is because he already had all of this planned out. Even when you've been promised something, it doesn't mean that the journey's going to be straight, smooth, easy sailing. Not saying that it will always be hard, because that's not fact either, but I'm just saying that because sometimes I feel, especially as Christians, you know, we'll say, oh, but God, you've already said that we're going to get this, we're going to get that. It should just be easy for us to get there. And let's be real, we live in a real world. We live in a world where nothing comes easy. Everything you do get, even in regards to God's blessings, are things that you have to work hard for. For him to put all of that into the dream house, just, oh my gosh, no, I'm not gonna cry. I'm just literally so grateful. That's why I've called this episode The Gift, because honestly, I can see God's hand throughout everything that's happened. When it came to getting this property and everything that this property has, like, I'm so grateful. Would I change the journey? Absolutely not, because the journey got us here. I remember I started this series by saying that those who are obedient to God are blessed, and I feel that 2023, when I really reconnected back with God, felt that pulling that, you know, you need to focus on me and all of that. I feel like since being obedient, honestly, the blessings have just continued rolling in. And that's why every single episode has a scripture at the beginning of it, because I said, if I'm going to shout about God, if I'm going to testify about his goodness in our life, then I want it to be that the testimony shows itself from beginning to end. Some of the scriptures you might not understand how it relates or anything like that, but I've always prayed and asked God, which scripture do you want me to put at the beginning of these episodes, because this is about God. This is about giving the glory back to him, showing my gratitude to him. God is going to do for you exceedingly abundantly beyond anything you ask and think. He can make the impossible possible. Do you understand what I'm saying? But I just felt led to share this journey, because this is a big testimony for me from 2024. There's even been plenty more, and I will share that across this channel as the months go by. I hope this encourages. I think the biggest thing is that you need to run after God. You need to make sure that you're pursuing God, and when you do that, the blessings will follow. Because this isn't, I keep saying it, this isn't something that we were pursuing, but it's a blessing from him. I don't know if Eric has anything else to say. Me crying.
It was all about God in the first place. For everyone out there looking on God or praying to God for something, don't give up, don't lose hope. You know, keep your faith up here. Definitely one day everything is gonna work out in your favor.
Yeah, and you need to do the work as well though.
You have to do the work.
Yeah, don't think things are just gonna fall into your lap.
That's one. Praying, working, and faith.
That is it for this episode 6, The Gift. Thank you so much for watching.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Did I say it right?
As long as all 3 are there.
As long as the 3 are there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
What about comment?
I didn't say comment?
No. You said share. Anyway, share.
Subscribe, comment, and share. And like. I thought it was straight.
Yeah, it was. But definitely share this video. Encourage someone who needs the encouragement, please.
Yeah.
And thank God on our behalf also.
And we will see you in the next episode.
Love you guys. Bye. I need to mention as well, since completing on the house, God has increased my pay again. So even though we really pushed the boat when it came to how much we offered for the house, honestly, when I tell you God's hand is in this, one of the things I said is, God, you brought me here. So you bringing me here, there's no way you can let me down. If you're saying that we're going to get a bigger, better house, which obviously means paying more for a mortgage and things like that, there's no way that you will provide this house and not provide the finances to ensure that we can keep the roof over our heads. So yeah, I just need to come back and quickly say that, because again, that's part of the testimony. God did not put us to shame in any way, shape or form. He brought us this far and he continues to provide and elevate. And so yeah, I just needed to mention that.
Turn up the watch my flow. You know that I'll be back.